Okay, it looks like it's 5:30, so we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Uh, my name is Katie Gauthier. I am with Oregon Parks and Recreation Department, and I will be the hearings officer for the hearing tonight. And we are here for the public hearing to consider prohibiting vehicles along the ocean shore near Manzanita. And with me tonight, I have Jerry Spegman, City Councilor from the City of Manzanita, who will also share the city's perspective and why they did a resolution to make this request. So tonight we will start with introductions and a presentation on the proposed rule change, and then have an opportunity to answer some clarifying questions on the process of the rule change. And then some of those questions, if they're specific to the policy or the reasons, kind of a policy choice, they may ask you to put those in as public comment. And then we will move to the public comment on the proposed rules. And to start with, I will provide a little bit of background on how we got to here. Under OAR 736-024-0015, a portion of the beach adjacent to Manzanita currently limits vehicle access between October 1st and April 30th. The ocean shore is open between 7 and noon for vehicle access and at any time for boat launching. In January, the Manzanita City Council passed a resolution requesting that the Parks Commission open rulemaking to prohibit vehicle access year-round along the ocean shore in this place. The resolution stated that beach driving and boat launching were no longer compatible with growing beach recreation, ecosystem preservation, and public safety. To clarify where this is, this is the full length of, or most of the length of Tillamook County. The pieces in red are currently closed, and then orange is where the seasonal restriction is. And so we're looking at this piece up here at the top of Tillamook County, and I'll zoom in further in the next slide. So here is the area that we are considering going from a restricted area to a prohibited area. I'll leave this here for a second so that everyone can see this. This map is also on our website if anyone wants to see it further. And I'll put the link to the website in chat at the end of the evening. So as far as the process for rulemaking, public comment is open until 7 p.m. or until 5 p.m. on April 7th. And then following the closure of the public comment process, staff will be reviewing and analyzing the comments and present them to the Parks Commission at either their April meeting or their June meeting. And at that point, the Parks and Recreation Commission could choose to adopt the proposed rules as they are proposed. They could make modifications, or they could seek additional public comment, or they could decline to take any action. So before we move to question and answer, Councilor Spegman, would you like to provide some background about how the city came to this?
Sure. Thank you, Katie. Before I do, I just want to get on the record a little bit of background about Manzanita to give a context for our request. So Manzanita is a small community with only about 630 full-time residents. And more than half of our residents are over age 55. In fact, 49% are over age 65, which is in contrast to 24% of Oregonians over that age in general. 23% of our residents have some form of disability, compares with 15% of Oregonians in general. So we're a small town. We're a town of mostly older people and some people with some physical impairments. But we are a different town than that profile may suggest. We have 1,500 dwelling units. Only 24% of those are occupied by full-time residents. More than half the houses in Manzanita are second homes, and then we have short-term rentals. Um, on a nightly basis, our hotels and short-term rentals have a lodging capacity of about 3,000, and that's in addition to the campground at Nahalem Bay State Park. So we've got a lot of visitors here with us in Manzanita at all times, and that doesn't include day trippers, which is probably our biggest single source of visitors to the community. Um, and these visitors aren't just here in the summer months. It's undoubtedly true that we have more visitors in the summer, but we do have a healthy tourism trade year-round in Manzanita, and that was at the heart of our request of the commission to consider a rule change. The rule, as I understand it, has been in place since the early 90s. Now, back then, Manzanita had about 570 people, so we haven't really grown a lot in terms of our full-time population, 570 to 630 over the course of several decades now. But the tourism trade has definitely changed. COVID may well have accelerated the business during the off season, but whatever it is, we have people here during the very months that driving is allowed on the beaches. Between October and April, as we noted in our resolution, we have not only the extended holiday period from Thanksgiving through New Year's, but we also have, I think, 3 or 4 federal holiday 3-day weekends. We have spring breaks that run over the course of 3 or 4 different weeks. And we have king tides and other weather-related events that actually attract people to the shore. And so we have more people on the beach year-round than was the case in the early 90s when this limited ability to drive on the beach was put into rule. I've been on the city council for 5 years. This is certainly not the biggest issue in town, but it's been a persistent issue. We've heard about it persistently, certainly throughout the 5 years I've been on council, and actually when I was running for council. Honestly, I was of the understanding that this was not something we had an ability to change, and obviously it's not our call; it's the commission's call. But as residents were persistent with their concerns and complaints, our city manager looked into it and became aware of some rulemaking down south, I think in Lincoln City, and so when the matter came back up to council more recently in the fall, we voted unanimously 5-0 to ask for a rulemaking process to be opened. And we focused primarily on the change in Manzanita in terms of being a year-round destination for tourism. There are other impacts, obviously. I think one of our police officers is here tonight to briefly address some of the concerns from his perspective. We also have in the public comments that have been filed with the commission, we have several folks from the environmental community that have spoken up. One issue that I really want to draw attention to is accessibility. We do realize that for some people, getting onto the beach requires some assistance. And my understanding from the state parks, people at Nahalem Bay State Park, is that they have issued permits over the years, now and then, for people to drive onto the beach to access that way. But I do think that it's significant that Manzanita's Visitor Center has a very active program to get people on the beach. We have 3 chairs, one of which is a motorized chair, and they're used, I think, 200 times a year. There's one of the public comments that's been recently submitted details that information. So we take very seriously the ability of people as I said, we're a community of old people. We're a community of with a lot of disabled people. We take very seriously uh, their opportunity to enjoy the beach and to get out there. And we think we address that the appropriate way through the visitor center. But the the permit process, that it would not be affected by this rule change is still on the books and is still available to anybody who needs to get access to the beach, um, specifically for accessibility purposes, for example, um, at any time during the year. And that has been the practice at the Halem Bay State Park. What we're trying to avoid is the somewhat careless and reckless and sometimes disturbingly adventurous use of motor vehicles on the beach by admittedly a small number of people, but it's only a small number of people uh, that can cause a very big problem here. And our residents that have been persistently bringing this matter to our attention have certainly detailed several incidents, which I think our police can corroborate, that have been detrimental to the enjoyment of the beach by residents and visitors alike. Just quickly on our process, this came up most recently in, I believe it was late October, maybe early November, although again, it's been a persistent uh, topic of intrigue and concern in the community. When it came up in November, uh, and we began looking at the process and what would be involved, we made note of it at our November council meeting, again at our December council meeting and December work session. We then passed a resolution in January and began talking about the commission's process, including the February hearing at which the commission voted to open rulemaking. We've been talking about this process. So in other words, um, we have brought this matter out in the public to talk about at least 5 different public meetings. And it has produced a pretty good assortment of public comments from the community and elsewhere. And I do want to address one issue that's come across clearly in the public comments. As I read the comments, there's a contention from the dory boat fishing community about a dozen or so comments that are obviously concerned about this proposed change. If you set that aside for just a moment, the rest of the comments are roughly 40 in favor and 3 or 4 perhaps opposed. The 40 in favor, I think, cover the gamut of all the issues that the city council has been concerned about, with the focus being primarily on public safety and environmental concerns. But then I do want to address the dory boat fishing folks. I understand that they've had quite an involvement with the commission over similar situations further down the coast, specifically in Pacific City. We are not aware in Manzanita of any significant amount of dory boat fishing that happens on our beach. I reached out to the president of the Pacific City Dorymen Association, Ray Monroe. We had a great talk. He taught me a lot in a brief conversation about dory boat fishing and the history of it and the cultural significance and economic importance of it. And I respect the information he gave me. But that information included that he himself, and he's been fishing since the late 60s, he himself has never fished off of Manzanita and is not familiar with any regular dory boat fishing off our beach. So I don't want to dismiss the position of the dory boat fishing folks. I just want to assert that it's our beach, for whatever reason, has not been a hotbed of dory boat fishing activity over the years. And in any event, the permit process that is still in place could serve the interest of dory boat fishermen should they want to use our beach. So I think that's about all I have, in addition to leaning on the many community members who have commented in writing, and I believe we have a couple that are going to join us this evening.
Great, thank you, Councillor Spigman. So now I will open it. If you have any questions about the process specifically before we open it for public comment, if you want to raise your hand, use the raise hand feature. I will answer questions specifically about the process. If you have questions that you would like to put as part of your public comment, we'll move on to that. But if anyone has a process related question, please feel free to raise your hand. Okay, well, we will move on. I'll share my screen again to the process for the public hearing. So the hearing is let me make sure I'm sharing it. Apologize. So the hearing is an opportunity for you to, to provide a public comment. Again, no decision is made at this hearing. Each person will have 3 minutes to comment. You can use the raise hand feature and then you'll be called on to comment. And the hearing is being recorded and will be posted on the website. The comments that we receive tonight will be considered in the same way as we consider the comments we receive in writing via the website or in email, or if you want to send them in via mail. All the comments are considered the same. And before we start the public comment process, I have a script that I need to read to make it official. You can send your comments in on our website in writing. Here's the in writing, or via our email. It's oprd.publiccomment@oprd.oregon.gov. And again, the comments are accepted until April 7th at 5 p.m. And I will go ahead and read the script and then open it up for hands, and I'll just call on the hands as I see them. And I know there are some people who have multiple people in your household listening, so each person has 3 minutes, and we'll start a timer as soon as I call on people. So you're free to have multiple people speak. This hearing is now in session. It is being recorded to maintain the permanent record. My name is Katie Gauthier. I'm the hearings officer. Today is Monday, March 24th, 2025, and the time is 5:48 p.m. The purpose of the hearing is to provide an opportunity for public comment on the proposed rules to change the Oregon Administrative Rule 736-024-0015 by the Oregon Parks and Recreation Department regarding driving along the ocean shore near Manzanita. The agency invites comments about whether other options should be considered for achieving the rule's goals while reducing the negative impact on business. In addition to presenting oral comments at this hearing, anyone may submit written comments until 5 p.m. April 7th, 2025, which is the close of the public comment period. Comments received after the close of the public comment period will not be reviewed or considered by the agency unless the agency decides to extend the public comment period for everyone. Send comments to the public comment mailbox or the State Parks office. Those addresses are on the PowerPoint on the screen. OPRD will not respond to questions during this portion of the hearing. After the close of the public comment period, staff will prepare a report to the agency, which will be available from the agency upon request and will be presented to the Parks Commission as they consider options for consider adoption of these rules. If you have questions as part of your testimony, please state those questions as concerns for the record. Please do not ask questions of those who are making formal comment. To provide a better context for comments, I may ask follow-up questions. To respect each speaker, anyone not presenting has been muted. I ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes, and you may submit written comments to the end of the comment period. The chat feature is utilized for process questions, but any formal comments should be submitted in writing via email or online. And when it is your turn to comment, you will be moved into the presenter role and a timer will appear on the screen. Uh, so the first comment is Mike Sims, and I'm going to promote you to panelist, Mike. And you'll have to, Mike's just coming on to accept. And if you need to unmute. Okay.
Okay,
Go
can you hear
ahead.
me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thanks, Ms. Gautier. Did I mention your name correctly?
That sounds great.
Okay, I'm sorry. And thank you, Councilor Spegman, for opening. My name is Sean Sims. I'm a Manzanita police sergeant with the Manzanita, City of Manzanita. I have a work tenure here of 14 plus years in the City of Manzanita as a patrol officer. Just have a few comments regarding the topic at hand, and would like to add that we all know that summertime celebrations and gatherings at the beach are automatic for everybody at the coast, or at least headed to the coast. During the tourist season, there is no beach driving permitted. A safe day at the beach allows for aging folks to navigate unstable terrain, for children to play frisbee, soccer, unpredictable leashed and unleashed dogs to run around. However, the off season does bring storms, king tides, additional beach debris, and that does attract the beach combing treasure hunters that we have. The off season also brings multiple holidays, 3-day weekends, and more people. Also, it does permit beach driving. I know the beach also provides driving recreation during the permitted driving times from October to April. I believe for the very few locals who actively drive on it, they're polite and respectful of all of the rules without any issues over the years. Most vehicles do get called into the police landline, non-emergency line, or even 911 for the following reasons. Some of those reasons include inquiries to as which is the beach open for traffic. There's all kinds of, well, not all kinds, but there's reports of speeding. There's reports of poor driving behavior, cookies, donuts, sometimes speed racing. The Manzanita police lack the ability to safely respond to the beach for emergencies. We also risk creating more problems by off-roading in vehicles not designed for the ever-changing terrain that the beach has to offer. I've been stuck a few times while responding to emergencies, leaving me stranded while en route. And sometimes that's just to a driving complaint. I now ask the question, is this going to be a life or death call before I enter onto the beach? I don't believe it's reasonable to take a Manzanita resource and divert them outside of the city for traffic complaints that may or may not be founded. At this point in time, I'd like to just enter that as my testimony, my narrative. If you have any questions, I look forward to those in the future. I know this is not the space, but I do have somebody here with me today. If there's an appropriate time to allow that person 3 minutes as well. It's a member of the public who uses the beach. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Officer Sims. Why don't you let that person go ahead, because I don't see another hand, and it may be easier just to
Okay,
go
sure
between people that way.
Sure enough. I'll just swivel my screen and I'll let him introduce himself, first and last name.
I'm John Klein. My family has been a resident of Manzanita with a second home for 97 years. Until the 60s, we cooked on a wood burning stove. I harvest wood off the beach. My grandfather, my father, my grandfather got debris off the beach from boats, shipwrecks, wood washing up, helped build a house. I'm very respectful when I'm down on the beach. I harvest wood. I'm not, driving around doing cookies. I'm going, to get wood and come back up. It's wood that's going to be sitting there that has a possibility with our vacationers not understanding how dangerous the beach is. Those logs roll in a big hurry. When we had the big king tides a few years ago, there was people at the gate where you go onto the beach and they wanted to go down, and there's logs that are 4 foot tall, stumps washing up to that gate and smashing the gate. And you try and explain to them, the police were there and said, it's your own risk. And I warned many people to go down when the king tides or sneaker waves are there and they come up soaked to their waist. And it isn't the locals that are doing things like this, it's the people that come into the town. The locals know how to be on the beach and be careful of the beach. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and they almost burned up Neoconi. It's locals. It wasn't a local, I can almost imagine, that set that fire in the wood. And then the state parks had to come in and scrap all that wood up into big piles. To remove some of the wood off the beach that's dangerous and is, good firewood for a person, I don't see the harm in it, but I know times are changing, and I would hope that this doesn't change, and maybe it is restricted to certain permits. I get a permit from the parks every time I go down for the season, and I harvest the wood that they allow me to harvest. And it's been a wonderful source of it's enjoyment for me to do stuff like that. I enjoy cutting wood, splitting wood. I don't enjoy going down and seeing where people have had fires and not put them out, and there's beer cans and beer bottles, take pallets down to burn. That's nothing for people to run around in their bare feet and get stabbed by a nail. There's things you just don't do, but people don't know what the rules are. But I thank you very much for listening to me, and hopefully the rules will stay the same in the future, or restricted to people that aren't respectful. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you very much for your comment. It looks like we have Steve Raymer. I will move you into the meeting. If you want to unmute Steve.
Okay. My name is
Oh.
Steve. Am I?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. My name is Steve Raymer. My wife and I, Jennifer, I should say, and we've been residents down here off and on, now full-time, for almost 25 years. I appreciate what the fellow speaker said there in regards to harvesting wood off the beach, but I take a different look at the beach and the sand dunes. It's a marine environment, and there's creatures that live in the sand dunes and on the beach and under the sand year round. So when cars come down there for any reason and drive over the wet sand, if they're in the wet sand area, they can crush everything below them, from sand fleas to sand crabs, worms. And if they cross over the dunes, the same thing. They could go through birds' nests. They could scare away birds that may be trying to nest here. Another piece of that, having seen beaches like Pismo, which are basically parking lots for every type of RV and gas-powered equipment, that's not what people come down here for. They come down to enjoy the beach, the quiet and the beauty. So when you put cars on the beach, which can be leaking oil or antifreeze, they're all toxic. So you have to ask yourself, do you want that for a marine environment that's so beautiful and pristine? It's open to everyone to enjoy and year round, because we walk the beach in winter too, and we just enjoy that environment, as do others. And if somebody wants to harvest wood, I think they can just bring it perhaps through the sand dune, or just, I don't know the answer to that one. That's sort of tough because I respect that viewpoint. But for me, it's a natural native environment that's worth protecting for all of us to enjoy, both visitors and people like me who came down here for the beauty, bought a home here for the beauty. And we wanted to get out of the traffic, and this place, among many other benefits, offers that. So that's all I have to say. I just wanted to put that out there as well.
Thank you very much, Steve.
You bet. Thanks, Katie.
Are there additional comments? Mandy, I'm going to promote you.
Hello, everyone.
Go ahead.
Alrighty, Katie, Jerry, thank you guys for being here and taking our public comments. Thank you for everyone who shared their perspective so far. My name's Mandy. I'm the Coastal Conservation Manager for the Oregon Shores Conservation Coalition. And I just wanted to come on here and say that we support this ban for conservation purposes, protect the habitat. Like Steve was saying, there's creatures that live on, under, around the sand. And also, I was also a harbor patrol officer in my past career, and so I would drive on the beach down here in Morro Bay, California, um, for first responder purposes. And I know snowy plovers and similar birds, they like to nestle in the tracks when people drive on the beach. It's like a nice little divot for them. And so that's just one endangered species that I know would benefit from this ban because they just love those divots, and if other cars are driving on those divots, they're at risk of being run over. Um, and yeah, so we support this ban. I we also support some sort of ADA permit on the beach because there is a lot of people with disabilities, but we also think that promoting David's chairs and other alternatives should be utilized first, again, just to keep the vehicles off the beach as much as possible. And yeah, thank you guys again. That's my comment.
Thank you very much, Mandy. Are there other comments? Any other comments? You can use the raise hand feature. It's in the, should be under reactions. Or if you are having any difficulty with the raise hands, you can also put it in the chat that you would like to speak, or in the questions, and I can make it so that you can speak. Give me one last chance before we wrap it up. If there's anyone who would like to comment. Okay. Oops. Well, you can also submit public comments, again, as I said, online at our website, or in writing, or via email until 7 p.m. on April 5th. And we will then take all of those comments and review them and provide additional information to the Oregon Parks and Recreation Commission, who will make their final decision at a Parks Commission meeting, either at their April meeting or their June meeting. And there will be more information put on our website about the analysis of those comments. So I thank you all for taking your time this evening to join us, and appreciate everyone's time, and have a good evening. The hearing is officially closed. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you. Stop streaming.